Well, good morning. It's good to see everybody this morning. I see lots of familiar faces and some new faces, so if you're new with us, we're happy to have you here. If you just haven't been in a while and you're back, we're happy to have you here. If you're in the online balcony, we see you and we're happy that you are here. We're just all happy to be here, aren't we? Y'all, come on, wake up a little bit. All right. So this summer, we have been holding, and will hold all the way through July, a special adult Sunday school class on the topic of Christian hospitality. And there's actually a reason why we chose this topic and why we want you to be a part of it. I don't know if you've noticed, but these days at St. John's, it sort of seems like maybe the Holy Spirit is up to stuff. We're growing. We're seeing new faces just about every Sunday. And it seems like folks are sort of out there talking about that old church down on Monroe Street, curious about who we are and how we worship and what we stand for. And likewise, a lot of you have been increasingly aware of life right out there, wondering what new ways St. John's can be a blessing to our community and to our neighbors and to those in need. And all of that has to do with the ancient practice of Christian hospitality, with a little dash of outreach and a little sprinkle of, dare I even say it in an Episcopal church, evangelism. Oh. Don't worry, I got you. But what it really all comes down to is the simple art of making room. Making room in our pews, making room in our budgets, but most of all, making room in our hearts, particularly for those whom we have not even met yet. I really think that God is preparing us for a new season of welcome and growth and vitality at St. John's. And if that excites you at all, and it should, then come on over to Sunday school in Colleen Hall after worship this Sunday and every Sunday this summer. Okay, now that I have made that lovely commercial for making room and welcoming people into the church, let us turn now to today's gospel, where it feels like Jesus is doing all he can to sabotage that. Here's where we pick up. At this point, Jesus has called the 12 disciples. He's been teaching them. He's got them all lined up and ready. He's about to send them out on their first mission. They're going to go be little evangelists and spread the good news across the land. But first, he's got to prep them. So he does just what I described just now. He sits them down for a Sunday school lesson on hospitality and outreach and evangelism. He's a good planner. He puts all his programs together in a good way. This is how you know that Jesus went to the same seminary as Mother Leslie and me. And as the disciples take out their pens and their paper and they sit down, they lean forward to hear Jesus' words of wisdom and instruction, he looks them in the eye and he says, all right, y'all listen up. Just so you know, I did not come here to bring peace. I came here to bring a sword. Well, okay. And he says, you know what else? If you love your mama or your daddy more than me, I don't want you. If you love your son or your daughter more than me, I don't want you. And if you're not willing to take up your cross and go exactly where I go, then guess what? I don't want you. Well, happy Sunday to you too, Jesus. It would be easy to hear all of that and to think, Jesus, bro, what are you doing? We're trying to get people to come in, not scare them away, and talking like that is not good for the numbers, my dude. But, you know how you talk to Jesus. But here's the thing, y'all. In all seriousness, if we're going to be Christians, if we are going to take God seriously, if we're going to take the Bible seriously, if we're going to take the whole thing seriously, then that means, as my mama used to say, you got to dance with the Jesus that brung you, not the Jesus you wish he would be. So while we here at St. John's are holding Sunday schools on Christian hospitality and making room for others and bringing others into the life of the church and discipleship in St. John's, our Master is over here telling us that that will not always be easy, and in fact, it's kind of not supposed to be. Here's the thing. When Jesus was sending his disciples out into the world, and I would dare to say that even when he sends us out into the world, he was not sending them to invite folks to a community yard sale or a cozy coffee hour or a beautiful worship service with organ and choir, as lovely and right as all those things are. No, y'all, when Jesus sent his disciples into the world, he was sending them out there to turn it upside down. Yes, with love, healing, forgiveness, and grace for anybody who would take it. But have you looked around? As wonderful as those things sound, love, healing, forgiveness, grace, the things that we believe and hold dear here at St. John's, as wonderful as those are, they stand in direct opposition to just about everything that the powers and princes and politics and payments of this world thrive on. That was the truth of the world then, and it is the truth of the world today. And let me be clear, none of that is to say that the world in which we live is inherently evil or bad or a lost cause. It is not. At its heart, it is beautiful and filled with wonderful people who want to do good. It just means that much of the world in which we live is starving for grace, and they do not even know it. But we do, don't we? We know about grace. Listen to me, St. John's. What we have here, our faith, our life, our baptism, our salvation, the very thing that Jesus came to give us and that we live and do and celebrate here every week is so much bigger, so much more than it looks like on the outside. Because what we have here together is more than a club, it's more than a camaraderie, it's more than a collection of people who go along to get along. No, y'all, our faith, the thing that got you in your clothes this morning and made you come here today, whether you know it or not, the thing that brings us here and into which we are inviting others, it is the antithesis to everything that the world's worst inclinations stand for. So yeah, it turns out that Jesus brings a sword. It's the sword of God's love, healing, forgiveness, and grace. But you better believe that if you take those things seriously, they have a tendency to cut right to the heart of the matter. Jesus, as much as we want him to always comfort us, sometimes he wants nothing more than to cut through our flabby pretense, our self-assured confidence, the lies we tell ourselves as individuals, the stuff that we acquire and hoard and worry over, all our sin, prejudice, bigotry, anger, addiction, fear. With grace like a double-edged blade, wham! He cuts through it all, and when he does, he reaches into our hearts and he says, Stop! Stop. This is not who I made you to be. I didn't make you to be like the politicians and the commentators on TV and the worst of your uncle on Facebook. So give it up and let go and trust me and follow me because I've got you. And honestly, y'all, with all that the world tries to teach us to cling to, is it any surprise that God's love might sometimes feel like a piercing sword? The difference, though, is that the sword he brings is never meant to cut us down. The sword he brings is meant to cut us free. I'm excited. I'm excited about what we're doing at St. John's. I'm excited about who we've been, who I think we're becoming. I'm excited about making room for others and sharing this treasure that we have found together. I'm excited to be an Episcopalian. I think it's a good time to be an Episcopalian. It's never a bad time to be Episcopalian, but I'm just real excited about it these days. I'm excited to be a Christian. I'm excited to be alive in this world with you. But most of all, I have to tell you, I'm most excited every day to have a God who tells me that I don't have to be perfect in the way that the world demands. I don't have to have it all figured out. And that most days, if I'm honest with myself, I end up being a sinner and a scamp and a scoundrel and a hot mess, and so do you. I've met y'all. And best of all, He loves us anyway. That's why you're here, y'all. You know what? He's right. At the end of the day, that kind of love that we get from this God, that kind of love actually is better than any other love from any other family member, friendship, identity, political party, or club. His love cuts like a sword through it all, and without condition declares to your heart and to my heart, you are mine. That, my friends, is what we're inviting others into. It's kind of all we have. That is good news to share. You also know what it's like to be surrounded by love, healing, forgiveness, and grace. You do. You also know what it's like to have your world turned upside down by something stronger than family or politics or tribe. You also know what it's like to be set free, cut free from the cruel and crippling expectations of the world. It happens for you right here at this altar every week when you put out your hands, not clenched like the fists of the world trying to hold on to their swords, but open like the hands of a child ready to receive the gentle sword of Christ's very presence. And it is a presence that always cuts right to the heart of who you are and says, I love you. You are mine. So in the words of our Master today, our Master who comes to bring the sword of love, healing, forgiveness, and grace, hear what He says to us. He says, what I have told you in the dark, go and say it in the light. What you have heard here in whispers, go and shout it from the housetops. Take up your cross and be not afraid. Y'all, we have room to make. We have people to welcome. We have good news to tell. Do not be ashamed. Let's get on it. Amen.